Welcome back to the Classical Liberal Arts Academy's Petty School Reading Program. In this lesson, we'll continue our study of language and reading in the classical tradition. Let's go ahead and get started.
Let's begin this lesson by reviewing some of the first ideas we learned in the first lessons of Petty School Reading. We learned that of all the creatures in the world, we are the only ones who use language. We learned that we use language to share ideas, and we asked the question, what is an idea? We learned that an idea is an image in our mind of anything we have seen, smelled, tasted, touched, or heard. We can also have ideas of what we have thought about. These are ideas. We all need to share our ideas with others, and to do this we use symbols called words. Words are symbols of ideas. There are two different kinds of words, and these give us two different ways to share our ideas. We can share our ideas with spoken words. In the picture, Alypius is sharing his idea of love to Augustine with the word love. That word, when heard by St. Augustine, brings to mind the idea of love. St. Alypius' spoken words. We can also share our ideas with written words. In the picture, St. Augustine is not listening to Alypius. He's reading the written words in the book. The man who wrote the book shares his ideas with written words. When St. Augustine reads the written words, the ideas of the author of the book come to his mind. The author has shared his ideas with written words. We also learned that words are made of syllables, and we learned that syllables are made of letters. We've been studying letters and their sounds. We've also been reading and spelling syllables made up of those letters. In this lesson, we're going to put syllables together and read words. In the last lesson, we practiced reading Latin words. In this lesson, we will study some special sounds called diphthongs. Diphthongs. A diphthong is a special group of two vowels that are treated as a single sound in a syllable. Let's repeat that. A diphthong is a special group of two vowels that are treated as a single sound in a syllable. You can think of a diphthong like a husband and wife. A husband and wife are two separate persons, but when they're married, they become as one person, and they cannot be divided. A diphthong is a group of two sounds that are treated as a single sound and not divided. The word diphthong comes from Greek. The Greek word di means two. Phthongoi means sounds. So diphthong means two sounds. A diphthong is a sound made up of two sounds. Diphthong. This is an example of a diphthong. You can see on the left that the syllable is made up of the vowels a and e. But these two vowels form a diphthong when they're put side by side. They come together to form one sound. If you look on the right, you can see that we've slid these two letters together to make them appear as one symbol. That's what a diphthong is. Now, the vowel a is read with the sound ah. The vowel e is read with the sound e. If we say them together, we read ae, ae. However, because they're a diphthong, we read them quickly together as one sound. I, I, I. That's a diphthong. In Latin, there are 6 diphthongs. In Latin, there are 6 diphthongs. We need to memorize these diphthongs because when we read, we must remember to read them as a single sound and not to break them up into 2 sounds. Point to the syllable in the red box. This is the diphthong I. I. Point to the syllable in the green box. This is the diphthong ow. Ow. Point to the syllable in the orange box. This is the diphthong a. A. Point to the syllable in the light blue box. This is the diphthong ew. Ew. Point to the syllable in the yellow box. This is the diphthong oi. Oi. And lastly, point to the syllable in the dark blue box. This is the diphthong we. We. So, the 6 Latin diphthongs are I, ow, e, eu, oi, we. Let's try that again. I, ow, e, eu, oi, we. Repeat that until you have them memorized. Now let's practice reading words that contain the Latin diphthongs. Here you can see in red that this word has the diphthong I. Point to the green dot under the consonant ke, and we'll read this word together. Remember, to read, we simply read one syllable at a time. Caelum, Caelum, caelum. Did you see how we kept the sounds ah and e together as one sound? That's because they form a diphthong. Caelum. Here's another Latin word with the diphthong I. Point to the green dot under the diphthong and we'll read this word together. I, ne, as. I, ne, as. If we put those syllables together, we read Aeneas, Aeneas. The second Latin diphthong is au, au. If you point to the green dot under the vowel a, we can read this together. Au, au. Do you hear how we blend the two sounds of a and u to form the diphthong? Au, au. Now let's read some words that have the Latin diphthong au. If you look, you can see the diphthong au in this word. It's marked in red. Point to the green dot under the consonant pe, and we'll read this word together. Paulus, Paulus. If we put the syllables together, we read Paulus, Paulus. Here's another Latin word that has the diphthong au. You can see it in red. Point to the green dot under the consonant L, and we'll read this word together. Lau, da, te. Lau, da, te. Laudate, laudate. The third Latin diphthong is a. It's made up of the vowels e and e. If you point to the green dot under the vowel e, we can read this together. A, a, a. Make sure when you read a diphthong that you read both sounds together. Don't separate them. A, a. Now let's read a couple of words that have the diphthong a. Point to the green dot under the consonant de, and we'll read this word together. De, tas, de, tas, detas, detas. Here's another Latin word that has the diphthong e. Point to the green dot under the consonant pe, and we'll read this word together. Pe, or, pe, or, peor, peor. The fourth Latin diphthong is eu. If you look at the diphthong on your screen, you can see that it's made up of the vowels e and u. Point to the green dot under the vowel e, and we'll read this diphthong together. Eu, eu, eu. And now let's read a couple Latin words that have the diphthong eu. Point to the green dot under the diphthong and we'll read this word together. Eu, ro, pa. Eu, ro, pa. Europa, Europa, Europa. Let's read this word together. Point to the green dot under the diphthong and we'll begin. Eu, fra, tes. Eu, fra, tes. Eufrates, Eufrates. The fifth Latin diphthong is oi, oi. You can see that this diphthong is made up of the vowels o and e. Point to the green dot under the vowel o, and we'll read this diphthong together. Oi, oi, oi. Let's read some words that have the Latin diphthong oi. Point to the green dot under the diphthong and we'll read this word together. Oi, di, pus. Oi, di, pus. Oedipus, Oedipus. This word's a little bit more difficult, but remember, we simply read it one syllable at a time. It doesn't matter if there are 10 syllables. We still read it the same way, one syllable at a time. Point to the green dot under the consonant te, and we'll read this word together. Tra, goi, di, a. Tra, goi, di, a. Tragoidia, tragoidia. The sixth Latin diphthong is we, we. You can see that it's made up of the vowels oo and e. Point to the green dot under the vowel oo, and we'll read this diphthong together. We, we, we. Here we see a Latin word with the diphthong we. Point to the green dot under the consonant ke, and we'll read this word together. Qui, qui, qui. Here's another Latin word with the diphthong we. Point to the green dot under the consonant ha, and we'll read this word together. Huic, huic, huic. So now, in Petty School Reading, you've learned the sounds of all of the Latin letters and of the 6 diphthongs. Remember, the diphthongs are special groups of letters that are read as one sound. I, au, e, eu, oi, and we. I, au, e, eu, oi, and we. The 6 Latin diphthongs.
We hope you've enjoyed this lesson in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy's Petty School reading program. We'll continue our study of language and reading in our next lesson. God bless.